Hey everybody, and welcome to a little thing I like to call Bert's Bites. What the hell is Bert's Bites, you might be wondering? Well, if you've looked at the title, and you've looked at the thumbnail, and perhaps you've even watched the video, then you probably know what it's all about. I'll give you a clue. You don't know what the clue is? I don't know what to tell you. I'm a little disappointed. Yes, of course it's food. And not just any food. I've got a very special food for you today, which is also in the title. And it's Toasties, right? It's a toasted sandwich. But there's a few basics I want to go through before I show you the video of me making a toastie. Any practitioner of toastie making must know the basics of toastie science. And I think the mass majority of toastie makers will agree with me when I say that these steps are pretty key to making a toastie. So in terms of ingredients, you start off with bread. Of course, 2 pieces of bread. I've not seen any more than 2 pieces of bread because you're trying to toast the bread. If you have a third slice in the middle, you're trying to go crazy club. That won't really work very well. But a toasted club is slightly different to how a normal piece of bread works because the bread is toasted separately, I'm pretty sure, so you can't cheat me with that system. Next, you have butter. Thin strip of butter on the outsides. It is in the diagram, it's just very faint. Possibly one of the most fundamental parts of the toastie, but not the most fundamental part, is the cheese. In the middle. Now, of course, it doesn't have to just be cheese. Cheese is a good ingredient because it melts, and you get that lovely melty, stringy effect, which is a benefit from toasting a sandwich. Otherwise, there's not really much point. So anything that will melt in the middle is good. But of course you can have other fillings, which is kind of the point of today, is that I'm making a toastie with cheese with a slightly different filling to normal. And finally, the most important aspect of a toasted sandwich, which is grilling the shit out of it until it's gone lovely and brown. Okay, perhaps that's got a bit too brown, in fact borderline orange. I don't know what's happened there, but that doesn't look right. Time to see me make a bloody toastie. Off we go! This is the leftover toastie. Alright? Okay, so to start off, and this is very elementary, the bread itself is left over. Ignore that. Bread. This is 2 end bits off a tiger bread loaf that I happen to have spare. And what's going in it, you might ask? Well, more leftovers. This is leftover meatballs. So effectively what I'm making is a tiger bread meatball marinara, almost like a Subway sandwich. I've prepared the bread and the cheese with butter. So what I like to do is, instead of putting whole meatballs in it, because then you don't get a good seal and the whole thing kind of falls apart, is you get a meatball or a couple of meatballs. I suppose what first I could do is make a bit of a foundation layer of sauce. Something for the meatballs to sit on, so they don't start flying away. Because as we all know, meatballs are dirigible. So in terms of meatball chopping, I like to do it, well, with a standard meatball. This is more like half a meatball, is once down the middle and then into 8ths, if possible. Or just small enough chunks that you can just sprinkle them on and get a nice, even and reasonably sized layer of beef meatball, but without taking the piss. Alright, I'm on dangerous territory here because I'm using both the end bits of the bread, which, well, they don't overlap with each other like a regular standard cut loaf will do. The 2 sides will match perfectly, creating a perfect seal, whereas this is tricky business here. The sides don't match. So what you're going to end up with is potential gaps in the side for cheese to start leaking out. And we want a nice contained package, so hopefully this is enough. And if not, then hopefully as we compress the sandwich in the sandwich press right here, the bread will spread apart to accommodate the room. And that's all some bullshit theory that I made up on the spot so I don't look like an idiot. Right, so for additional seasoning, we have the champions of seasoning. Salt. Pepper, that's not in frame. Salt. Pepper. A few cracks of it. This grinder's quite quick. About the equivalent of a pinch. You know what a pinch looks like when it comes out of a grinder. Which nobody does, let's be honest, because you can't pinch out of a bloody freaking grinder, can you? Okay, you'll notice the angle's a bit different, and that's because I'm opening this cupboard. Now, you're probably wondering, what's the significance of this cupboard? Well, it is the cupboard in which all of the herbs and spices are stored in this household, which means I am accessing some additional flavours, like a pinch of oregano. Oregano's a given, but, like, if I want to use any other flavours, I'll just give it a sniff, and if I think it works, then it works. Like that. That might work. Time, by the way, but it might be a bit... That'd probably work, actually. Do some time. So I happen to have, just lying around the house, fridge, a bit of garlic paste. That's the wrong way, that's the right way. And this is going to essentially substitute for my use of my homemade garlic butter, because it's all out. Cool. Would you look at that? It's a two-parter. You've got kind of a garlic bread element and then the meatballs. Look at how shit that looks. And it doesn't matter, because this is just the inside of the sandwich. What we're going to be seeing is the outside, and maybe a bit of the cross-section, but really, it's not going to matter, because it's going in my freaking face. With toasted sandwiches, it's more about the flavour than it is the moo-chimmy-moo aesthetic of things. Anyway, it's time for the fold. Top bit. Over. We've got cheese underneath all of that. I didn't forget the cheese, did I? I did not forget the cheese, because that would be bad. Sprinkle of oregano on the outside, same as I did with my garlic and turkey. Let's get to the sandwich. Boosh. You see that? Steamy, smoky, hot. Bang. We're going to get our sandwich. Gonna get it on there. You hear this sizzle? Yes, you fucking do, because it's a nice sandwich. We get the top. We press it down, and then we go bosh. We go bosh. We go boosh. We squeeze until the two halves of the bread touch each other, and then we get that lovely, nice seal on it. And then we look to see what's happened, and, well, guess what? Marinara has gone everywhere. I fucked it. So, my whole kitchen is going to smell a lot like burnt tomato in a minute, because there was too much marinara sauce in there, and it's squished out all over the place. So chances are this toastie is going to be a failure. Yeah, that's definitely the smell of burnt tomatoes. Oh, and as a side note, while this is cooking, sorry the lighting's so shit, but every opportunity to be able to record this stuff has a window behind me. I mean, I suppose I could reposition the camera there, looking down this way, but I need this for the height advantage, the microwave. The phone has to be propped up, so you can have a down-top view of what I'm doing over here. I mean, I suppose I could probably invent a solution. I mean, I made this phone bracket. What do you think you're watching this through right now? You think I just propped it up against a piece of kitchen roll like the old days? No! This is a genuine, Lego Technic piece of design. It's a couple of bits with a couple of other bits, and it just kind of pinches the phone in place. Real pinch like that, like you're crimping a pasty. I'm trying to make this food related, so I make this whole video food related. Should we check on the abominable sandwich? I think we should. Exact same state in which I left it in. Total pandemonium. Now, shut up. Now, the deal with using the end of a loaf of bread, the two ends of a loaf of bread, is that the bread is typically thicker. It's one big piece of crust with some white in it. Like, that's what you get out of this. Now, the problem with that is that the crust is thick, as you know. It takes a bit more effort in order to crispen the crust than it does to crispen the rest of the bread. And now, the problem with that is the crust absorbs a lot of heat. So when you're trying to penetrate through the bread to melt that cheese, you end up with... What are you doing? You can end up with the cheese not even melting at all. And that is obviously a problem in the toasty business. I'm not going to lie though, like, if I pick you up and we have a look at this, aesthetically it's pretty good. I mean, all things considered. You've got the herbalness on the top. There's bits of burnt tomato on the sides, but really, like, We can fix that, right? Alright, I think the sandwich has had enough torture. Shall we get it on the plate? Yes, we shall. Fish slice, bam. Sandwich, bam. Chopping board, bam. Knife. One single slice down the middle. I like to do it down the middle. You might like to do it down a diagonal. But, for me, straight down the length and then through the middle, like that, yeah. Whack it on a plate. And this is what we've got. Our meatball. So you can probably pick out the bits of meatball and tomato sauce and melted cheese in there. And it's all looking pretty damn gorgeous. We've even got the herbal finish on that top. And, right, so as I was saying before I was interrupted yet again, it's got a lovely herbal finish. Look at that cheese as well. Oh dear. These can get quite messy, especially when the cheese is as stringy as this, but just... And listen for the crunch. Now that is a good sandwich. And all made from leftovers. You hear me? Bloody leftovers. I've got this delicious lunchtime thing. So if you like sandwiches like this, I suggest you go out with a bit of buck, you go to freaking Argos or something like that, get yourself a sandwich press, take all the leftovers you've got, and get cracking, because this is bloody lovely. Bertegue 5, signing out.